We had previously noted that the phrase in Bamidbar 21:6, when God sends against the nation the Nechashim HaSrafim, the word Srafim modifies the Nechashim, that the snakes were of a species that injected a substance into the individual that brought about a high temperature, a fever, eventually leading to death. On this basis, when we looked at Bamidbar 21:8, whereby God tells Moshe as an antidote to Aseh Lecha Saraf, this was a shortened version of Aseh Lecha Nachash Saraf. And on this basis, the Rebbe argued that Rashi was able to maintain that in actuality God had told him to manufacture the image of a Nachash that caused the individual bitten to Saraf. This, however, poses a problem as to why the Chumash did not include the full version, that God comes to Moshe and says, Aseh lecha nachash saraf. The Rebbe in the SICHAH suggests two responses. A surface response is that very often the text will abbreviate the narrative, such as in Bamidbar 21:8, and leave it to the reader in interpreting the text to insert the appropriate information that is required. In support of this thesis, footnote number 9 refers us to Rashi's commentary to Bereshit 4:15. Bereshit 4:15 deals with the consequences of Cain's murder of his brother Hevel. God had decreed against Cain that he would be forced to wander the face of the earth in order to support himself. He begs mercy from Hashem, maintaining that the punishment is much too heavy for him to bear, and furthermore, with the removal of God's protection, Kol Motza'ai Yaharguni, he will be vulnerable to attack leading to his death. In response to Cain's expression of remorse, God decrees that Kol Horeg Cain Shivatayim Yukam. A surface reading of this statement is that anybody who murders Cain will suffer revenge after 7 generations. To protect Cain, God places an ot, a letter, a sign, a marker upon Cain, Levilti Hakat Oto Kol Motza'oi, so that anybody who may meet him will not strike and kill him. In his commentary to this pasuk, Rashi divides the statement Lachen Kol Horeg Cain Shivatayim Yukam into two parts. Part 1, Lachen Kol Horeg Cain, and Part 2, at the end of 7 generations, I will take my vengeance from him, from Cain. Cain is then presented with a marker to protect him over the coming 7 generations. The reason why Rashi rejects the surface reading of this phrase expressing a single idea is that if the subject of the pasuk is Cain's killer, who will be held accountable at the end of 7 generations, this does not adequately respond to Cain's concern, expressed at the conclusion of Pasuk 14, that anybody who finds me without God's protection will kill me. The fact that the person who kills Cain will be held accountable after 7 generations is short comfort for Cain's concern of an early death. And it is for this reason that Rashi maintains that we need to divide God's statement to Cain into 2 parts. Part 1, anybody who kills Cain, ... and the second part, that Cain will eventually be held accountable for killing Hevel at the end of 7 generations. The details of which are recorded in Rashi's commentary to Bereshit 4:23. With respect to the first part of the statement that God makes to Cain, Lachen Kol Horeg Cain, Rashi writes, Ze echad min hamikraot shekatzru divreihem. This is one of the many sentences in the Chumash in which the words are cut short. In other words, information is missing. V'ramzu, the information is merely hinted at, remez, v'lo pirshu, but no explanation is given by the text as to what the allusion is. Rashi fills in the information, writes that with the statement Lachen Kol Horeg Cain, that anybody who murders Cain contains a Lashon Ga'ara, an implied threat. As if to say, Ko yeyaseh lo, this is what is going to happen to him, kach v'kach on shah, such and such is to be his punishment. But, v'lo pirish on shah, the text does not go on to identify what that punishment was to be. In a similar vein, the Rebbe argues that when the pasuk states, Aseh lecha saraf, this is a pasuk that has cut short and left out the information. What was really meant was, Aseh lecha nachash, that will saraf. This has been one approach to the absence of the word nachash.